but as a pivotal part of your leading justice vision, are you already evaluating, assessing to be able to tell if this is helping to bring the caseload down, making people feel happy because efficiency is improving in those places where the cases are just clogging?
As I said, we have a quality assurance unit now. It's headed by a High Court judge. And that judge and her team, as well as a performance and standards monitoring committee for the judiciary, which was set up even by Justice Enini Yeboah, even before I came into office, is headed by no less a person than Justice Puaman of the Supreme Court. So there's a consistency of monitoring.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're still here on the law. It's your weekly legal clinic, and it is your help law. It is your legal light. We have the exclusive privilege of sitting out here with Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, under the able leadership of the Ghana Bar Association, with young lawyers having an interaction. And I confess to you, she's asking a question for many other lady lawyers.
I can imagine. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I remember being pregnant and walking around the courts. I had last two of my children as a practitioner. But fortunately for me, blessedly for me, I was very healthy during pregnancy, so I didn't have any problem. Now, if you're a lady lawyer and what I would tell you is, if you're having issues with your pregnancy, drop your dockets, drop the practice, and pay attention to that very important thing going on with you at that time, being pregnant, have the baby, because you really can't mess around with that part of your life as well. You want to, that's why you are there, right? And one of the things I used to do anytime I went on maternity leave is hand my briefs over to another lawyer and not worry about it. This is what I'm talking about in relation to integrity, living in the moment. If you need a year of work, take a year of work. Don't harass yourself to, sometimes I see people laboring to remain at work. And I was like that. I don't think that it was helpful. So this is to share my experience with you. I don't think it helps the children. So I would say that when you decide to have a family, look at your circumstances. Look at the kind of support you have, and have a common sense approach. Because it's only for a few years. The work will still be here waiting for you. You don't stop being a lawyer just because you went off to have a family.
So that must be a question from your own experience, using the courts as a visually impaired person. All right.
You know, that's why you came to assist us with the e-justice development. You know, we are moving on to phase 2, and we are looking at all angles of how we can give better access to justice. So in our workshops, we invited him and other persons with other challenges so that they could give us an input to how we can do this better. And so in that sense, I think you've answered your question. It's important. We can't go on without you. And you must have access to justice, both as a citizen and also as a lawyer. I would think that when it comes to your work in courts, no one can control the material you bring and how you bring it. And so that's your responsibility. But when it comes to us on the bench, all we need is that your processes are filed, and what we need is that you are heard. So if the challenge comes from site, that's not too tough. But when it comes from being unable to speak, then we have to fight. We have to move on a notch. So, in fact, listening to you right now, it has occurred to me that we have to start thinking about those who cannot speak and yet have to be part of the community. So traditionally, the judiciary, I think since I started working in reforms, we've always thought about who's getting left out. And you notice that the new courts that have been built, all the 100 courts that have been joined to the system, all of them have ramps for those who cannot walk easily. All of them have ramps for wheelchair-bound people. I think even the Supreme Court building, there was a gentleman who took us on. When I joined the Judicial Council, he had been writing, and he said, if we don't hurry up and give access, he will sue us. So we've given access. We've created the access. The question was the technical way to get it done, because the building is an old building, but now it's been done.
Yes.
It's a diversity of roles. I think that after about a month at the job, I sat back and I said, because I'm always thinking of structure. I only function in structure. So I asked myself, so what's the structure of this job? And I sort of put it in a quadrangle, which is you have your part as a judge. You have to keep sitting as a judge. And then your part as an administrator, then your part as a diplomat. There's a lot of diplomacy involved. You are the face of the judiciary. You are invited to all sorts of functions. Then there's also the part of a leader, because you must have a vision for moving the institution forward. And so at any time, you are sort of moving in and out of all those different roles. I think today I functioned in all of them. And it's not as if you do one on Monday and one on Tuesday. In 3 hours, you could flow between
my
different
lady,
roles.
Respectfully, if I may remind you, she, like all of us, can imagine the enormity of the work. And so she's asking the most interesting thing being the CJ.
I find all the different parts intriguing. I still find my work as a judge intriguing. Every case is different, and having to think about the best way. It can be tiring, because it's a role that demands a lot of deep thinking all the time, and that part, thinking can be tiring, and so. I don't know what is most interesting, but in all, it's a very interesting job.
So we all know that we have an idea that it is a very demanding job, because she just told us at this time of the day that she has gone through all the various roles even before this interaction. Now, we are looking at you from the speed at which you have begun, and
you keep using the word speed.
Yes, and we are asking, so how does your vision look like in the next 5 years?
And I must say thank you to everyone. Thank you to my colleague judges. Thank you to the bar. Thank you to the donor community. Thank you to everyone, because it's been a lot of support. I think that the most expensive part of the work seems to me to be technology. just today, I've had to come to terms with a budget that apparently we need 3 times as much to be able to put certain kinds of technology in the district courts. You know, blithely, all I was interested in is please give me that and give me that and give me that. Make sure we can get this done. And when the cost came back, when the cost came back, it was so much. And the institution that was going to give us the money then has to review how much they can give us. And if they can't give us beyond that, what had been agreed, then we have to review. So what would the judiciary look like? God helping me, everybody helping me, and me getting money to do all the work. Right. I think that I am quite sure that most of your hearings will be done virtually.
Oh, great.
You will be in your chambers to take at least applications. That should be in the next year, virtually everywhere. We should be taking applications virtually. To take applications virtually, we need facilities that are soundproof, not altogether soundproof, but are protected from sound and too much human traffic. So, and courtrooms are not designed like that. And so we are having to find facilities in different court complexes for all of that. So we will be taking a lot virtually. Much of our communication will be done SMS, email, etc. Right. E-filing, e-service, e-case distribution, e-dockets, a lot of that depends very much on the national infrastructure. You see? So as you are planning e-filing, you must remember those who do not have access.
Right.
So we have to have what we call, what was designed as what SB is. I think it's Service Bureau something. That's a Service Bureau agency or something like that. Much like a comm center.
Okay.
So if you come to the law court complex, there's a system down there. So we have to sort of transport that system around the country, and in order to have efficient e-filing processes for everybody, because not everybody acts by a lawyer. E-service, we need email addresses for everybody. So we begin with those who have and see how many we can compel to have email addresses, because you may be able to upload certain documents or you may be able to send certain documents by WhatsApp, and that's not good enough,
right? Because
WhatsApp can be tampered with. You need a system that can stand the test of authentication, validation, security, and that doesn't come easy. And email is about the best up till now, because you can't tamper with email. The trail exists. So with the requisite technologies, I'm hoping hearing done, e-filing done, e-service done, e-case distribution is about the easiest. Even though after we started it, I discovered that people could break into it. And so we had to recall the system and build it with better security. And then there's e-hearings.
I can see the joy on the faces of my colleagues sitting in the audience once they heard that next year they're going to be able to sit in the comfort of their offices.
Not everybody, but hopefully as many as we can get that facility.
But do we have clear timelines when we are going to have to enjoy this?
If it depended on only me, I could give you clear timelines. But I've been in reforms enough to know that you can plan, you can start, and then you can meet it. That's a part of human living.
Right.
But when the willpower is there and the goodwill is there, I think you can move fast. So I'm hoping that by, we've been doing virtual hearings during vacations.
Yes.
And now we've taken it just out of vacations. There are many places that we're doing it as the normal part of court work. Let's say, no, I won't make a promise.
All right. There are many lawyers and litigants and court users who are watching us at this very moment, and I can imagine their joy hearing that there will be messages, alerts to them. If a court is not sitting, you don't have to spend time, drive all the way to the court to be told that the court is not sitting. Yes. And you will have the opportunity of a virtual hearing. Will that apply to every case?
It cannot be for every case. So of course, we have to keep going until much is done that way. Until much is done that way.
Okay.
It cannot be for every case.
And on this note, a personal bit. The virtual hearings, I was out of the country, but I couldn't participate, and I wanted to participate, meaning I had to ensure that my junior who was handling my brief could do that work. Are we looking at a point where I could be anywhere and participate?
Absolutely. I still haven't been convinced by why persons outside the jurisdiction cannot participate.
Okay.
I won't tell you the reasons I was given, but I don't think I'm quite convinced because what's the value? So we have to move beyond it being available to only those who are in the jurisdiction.
All right. And now, before I come back to you for your next set of questions, and I know you are itching to ask your questions, I'd like to ask this on the back of your leading justice vision. You announced that, of course, people have said over time, and the Afrobarometer survey have shown that there is some lack of trust, certain deficit, not only in the judiciary, it must be said, but in certain state institutions, and the judiciary was affected. Shall we have an idea what exactly it is that you are doing about this situation?
The corruption question is a national question. It's a national conversation. It's a cultural conversation. I mean, I think that a lot of what we term as corruption comes from the way we relate, in the sense that somebody goes into a place, asks, how do you get this done? The public official says, this is how it's done. And the person thinks, let me give you a gift. So it's just some of these social practices. And then also there's the rent-seeking behavior of persons who have discovered that if they exploit their positions, they can make income. How do you stop that? So I can only beg, quote unquote, citizens to also take a stand. They know they don't like it, they shouldn't do it.
All right.
Then there are other aspects of alleged mistrust of the judiciary. When I went for my vetting to the Supreme Court, I used an expression, judicial predators. I don't know if anybody remembers that. But in my time from the High Court as a trial judge up to even the Court of Appeal, I discovered that parties could actually tell each other, I've gone to see the judge. And they don't even know the judge. They've never seen the judge. Or this person did this for me. And it's not true. So a lot of the conversations really are part of the tools. I think some of it is part of the warfare. On the warfare devices. I recall very much a family member coming to me and saying that they had been told that a party had come to see me, and so the other side had discovered that that person was my family member. And I said, see me where? When? And this person was just bragging. And it's not an isolated incident. I could go on and on, you know. So it's not as if the practice doesn't exist. I'm not pretending that it doesn't. But what I'm saying is that a lot of the conversations are not premised on facts. Even case management can get people carrying on about why case management is being done. You understand me? We carry, these situations can happen. And so I think that all I can do, or what I ought to do, is any situation, any circumstance that lends itself to abuse, I should try as much as possible to dismantle that situation. And that's what I'll try to do.
All right.
And I'll do my best to do. And when you try to dismantle it, you get some whining on the side, and then I'll ignore that.
And like